What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special on-site edition of the Left Coast Leafs podcast. I'm Sean Orr. I'm joined with Trevor Bass and a few other people as well.
Yeah, a couple repeat guests on the show. We have Christine McAvoy all the way from Vancouver.
All the way.
Came over to our rainy Royal City.
It's very rainy right now.
We have the Royals now, so
there,
we're not even just pretending to be important. We actually are now. We have...
They're like 10 minutes from my office.
Oh, that's right, too.
Yeah.
And then we have Trevor Wyatt, who's a repeat guest from our roundtable preseason.
Yeah.
You know what, Trevor, I was thinking we should go back and listen to all our predictions we made and just see how wrong we were about absolutely everything.
I was very wrong on a couple things, yeah. I think my biggest flop was the prediction that Jersey would make the playoffs.
Oh, jeez.
Whoa.
Yep.
On paper, they look good.
They did.
Right? Yeah.
On paper, they're not.
No. So we're post-bye, and we're just gonna kind of talk about kind of the 1 month between now and the trade deadline.
So you want to like armchair GM it then right now?
Yeah, let's kind of do that because, I mean, we're going to be in a position for the first time in a couple of years where even if we're 3 points in or 3 points out, there's no guarantees on the trade deadline day. So, like, I remember a couple of years ago we kind of had those 3 UFAs. We had Komarov, Van Riemsdyk, and Bozak, and we kind of like, well, we coined the term own rental. And so we had a first-round loss and lost all those guys for no assets back. So I guess just like how do you guys want to approach this year? Let's start with Christine.
I'm so worried.
You're worried?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they're gonna go. There's a lot of options. Like obviously Cappy and Janssen have been floated like constantly pretty much. And like, do we want to go for the backup goalie? Do we want to help the defense? Because God knows what's happening. And I'm saying Cappy now, but he literally just went down last period of the game we're watching right now with an arm injury. So I don't know. This season for me has just been like, it's so weird and unpredictable with the injuries, and like I don't know what their mindset is. Like obviously you still want to make the playoffs, but like how hard do you push to move people that could be in assets next year, and like who can you hang on to? Like,
It's like the thing is, if you traded Kapanen right now for like, let's say Georgiev, which is potential, how many games will he actually play? Like Anderson's going to play a shitload of games.
He will only affect
the
5
year.
games.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the backup thing, but that's like obviously the like main rumor focus that goes around right now. So I think defense is more of the issue.
What do you think, Trev?
I'm sort of confused by where they're at this year as a team. I think they've got a few gaping holes that I don't think any moves at the trade deadline could make significant improvements. I mean, they don't have the cap space. They don't have a lot of draft picks. They don't have a lot of things to give up in order to get what they need. I think the only move that I would maybe be okay with is if somebody makes a play for Barrie.
Yeah.
If somebody offers them a trade for Barrie, sure, go ahead and do it. But I think for the most part, I think they should just
stand. The problem is, though, his contract is so good right now because it's 50%.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying though too is like, I mean, you're kind of on a bubble right now, so why risk one way or the other? I mean, you sort of just stay pat, right?
It's money in, money out, because there's no cap.
Right.
So, like, you're getting a 2.75 defenseman back.
Yeah.
And, like, is that going to equal what he is, where he's actually a 5.5 million defenseman?
Right. But I mean, even if you got like a mid-round draft pick included somewhere in there, just something, right? I mean, it's a tough position because I don't think they're going to make a big splash in the defensive market. I don't think you're going to make a big splash.
I think they're just going to let it ride.
That's right, and that's sort of where I'm looking at it too, right? I mean, just see what happens over the course of the next couple months.
So what about this? What if contract talks stall with Muzzin? And it's like, okay, they know by the 24th that he's not signing. Like, what do you do then?
But they're going for a Stanley Cup, though.
But are they? Like, is this a Stanley Cup team?
I think that initially, without the injury stuff, it definitely was. And
Like,
it's
if we
just
had-
been
But
this
didn't-
year has been like
Post Babcock, they're a 110
Oh, yeah.
point pace team. Yes, it is a Stanley Cup team.
Yeah, but
Are-
we also have to keep in mind too that I mean I don't think there's been a single game this entire season where they've been 100% healthy. Like I don't think
No, there
there's been a
hasn't.
single game this year where
No
they've
games.
they've rostered a team that is what they were expecting at the beginning of the year.
yeah.
They're, they're not going to roster one at all this year
Right.
because basically McAvoy is done for the year.
Right. But I guess that changes the entire mentality of it all because they haven't actually had the full scope of what the Dubas
picture
plan
of
was.
what it looks like,
right?
yeah.
Having everybody in place and playing the system that Keefe has them playing, right?
I was like, I honestly forgot who was still injured because I knew there was a list and like Muzzin coming back and Moore coming back, but like when Riley's down, McAvoy is down, and now Cappy is. Hopefully that's not long.
I read again today, like he can't even grip a stick for 90 days. Like it's 90 days doing absolutely nothing. In the hopes he gets feeling back in that tendon.
He's still young.
There was a sad picture of him over the break with like this big brace on his hand, like standing in like ankle deep water on like at the ocean or something like that. It was the saddest
All I
thing.
saw was the
poor
thumbs
guy.
up photo, which is like forced to do thumbs up because of the way the cast looks.
So are we overreacting a little bit? Am I overreacting by saying sell to this recent little slump that maybe
Always
we're in?
overreact.
Yeah, but
Well,
I'm
it's like
but I'm always right.
if we're not
John
gonna do it
Tavares
this
is not
year,
washed
though,
up.
If we're not going to do it this year and like next year we're bringing more of the Marlies kids in, which is always really like the plan. Like we've seen flashes of them this year, and obviously Rasmus is in now because this is the game, right? Like this is his first year. They're not sending him back down and
No,
burning
not
it
anymore.
on like 3 games for it. Like
No.
which then again we were talking earlier before we started recording about CC is like if Rasmus isn't coming down and Riley comes back, who's the odd man out? It's not Justin Hall. It's not Barry. It's not unless Barry goes at the trade deadline.
I mean, you're scratching
Someone's
CC.
got to move. It might be CC. And they just signed.
But CC plays the other side though.
But just as like
Yeah, but you see that pass
everybody's-
today. I
if
don't
ev-
think it matters.
if everybody's healthy and you got to scratch a D-man, and is he one of your best 6 D-man now that Sandin has got some time under his belt? Like, I don't know. At that point, it's kind of play to win.
Well, yeah, they're playing to win a Stanley Cup. There's no question about that.
I did mention earlier that like sometimes regression happens during the course of an ascension of a team, and I mean, is this just a reset year? I don't know. It didn't start out that way, but.
I don't know. To me, it's hard to see it as a reset year when there's so many unknowns for next year.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think there's probably at least 3 or 4 players on the team right now that won't be there next year. 3 significant players probably on this roster right now that probably won't be here next year. So. Okay, you can say that they can have a bit of a regression, but where are they? Who's coming in to replace them? Right? I mean, you're going to obviously gain some more money a little bit, and the cap could potentially will go up or should go up.
Hopefully.
Projecting like 3 or 4 million.
Right. But
and we lose both.
But again, I mean,
LTIRs this year.
The prospects and solid roster players don't always just grow on trees, right? I mean, we don't have the replacements through the Marlies. I think that are ready to make an impact on the NHL level right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I'm outnumbered in the
But like, are you like
get an asset for Barry?
But like, you're giving up
conversation.
though. Like, you don't even think punching the ticket is worth it.
I guess my thing with I'm looking more at the Barry situation. He's not turning out the way we were hoping. We could still get more assets and maybe even win the Kadri trade if we can get something for him. Like, there's probably a Western Conference team that really covets Tyson Barrie. And if we can tread water till Riley gets back, he can do the first power play thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I was always cautious about Barrie at the beginning of the season when we got him, and I mean, I gave him a lot of leash because he's a local guy and we kind of know him and like him. But I mean, sometimes it's asset management. Even when you're trying to win, it's about managing your assets. So I don't know, but it's hard being a GM in the NHL.
It is.
It's not an easy
But
job.
I think the thing is, like, you get in the playoffs and you never know.
Yeah.
That's what.
Unless you play Boston, then you know.
Well,
like, we need to have that Vancouver Canucks beating Chicago Blackhawks moment.
oh boy.
Right, it's the Washington-Pittsburgh moment, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that's the moment,
That
right?
moment needs to happen. Like, there's been enough shit where, like, when that if and when that moment happens, it'll be like a watershed, like, monkey off your back moment.
Well, St. Louis didn't
Tears
have
of
to slay
joy
any
instead of
dragons. I don't
pain.
want to slay
No,
any dragons.
I mean, but they had to slay their own dragon.
There's a
St. Louis,
massive
right?
dragon,
I mean,
though,
St.
yeah.
Louis had to get over their own obstacles, and it wasn't another team. It was just their own, their own performance and their own
Boston's in
style
our
of game, right?
It comes down to, like, what happens with Florida. If Florida stays where they are, then we're in trouble.
Yes.
But if Florida comes back, they're on a huge winning streak, though. They're going to
Yeah, they
come
are.
back to earth.
We also did that.
We're likely going to see Boston in the first round. We'll be that 3 seed in the Atlantic, and it's going to be all right. Here we go. And now it's not so much worried about Marchand this year. It's going to be Pasternak.
Yeah.
He's
he's
dominant.
lethal.
Yeah.
And then it's we have the saving grace, though. Like, last year, Tavares did shut down Bergeron. He beat him in the face-off dot, held him on the score sheet. We have a answer to Bergeron now with Tavares.
And no liability
But-
in the
but-
Kadri Red Mist
but I
situation.
guess it swings over too now, though. Like, do we have an answer for Pasternak? Right? Like, that's he's murdered. He murdered us in the playoff last year.
I do
right?
think we have
mean,
enough pests that didn't get
he had a
enough
really
time
good,
last
solid
year.
series against us last year, and so, like, do we have the guys that have kind of the defensive prowess to shut down Pasternak? I mean,
I approached a Boston series this time around. I mean, if we have a healthy team, like, I don't know about Mikhail. Like, that guy was a big ad for us. Like, that guy was found money, man, and he was a top 6 forward.
He's gone, though. He's
Yeah,
gone.
so
Well,
let's
he
but
might be back
even with
playoff time, but,
Engvall emerging, like I think we actually have to take this "you try and stop us" mentality. Even if this Rocky season sneaks us in, we're that team that nobody wants to play. I think.
Hopefully.
Like, we're not gonna. I don't want to take the idea of, like, well, we have to shut down Bergeron. No, they got to shut down our top 6 now, and our power play, and our third line, which is better than their third line now, right? Like I think that's where we got to go with this.
Well, it's a very different roster from last year.
It is very,
and
yeah.
Obviously, it's a different coach too, and they're gonna
That's the thing, right?
Launch
Why
them
you
in
just
different
need to
ways. So
Just let it go. Like, let it, like, see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
It's like I'm going in. I want to go into if knocking on wood when we make the playoffs with the same attitude I did when we made it and played Washington. It was like, I'm just happy to be here. Like, let's see what happens.
Who would you rather play, Boston or Washington? If they snuck in as a wild card.
Oh my God.
Or Tampa.
That's. I mean, I don't
None
really
of
want
them.
to play
None
any
of
of them, honestly.
them. Did you see the
So
All-Star game?
You have to beat good teams to win, though.
Yes,
That's-
you do.
Eventually you do.
That's
Yeah.
what happens.
But I guess what I'm looking at, though, too, is, I mean, regardless of who they play, they have to get out of the first round hump. So
Yeah.
But
I
that's-
mean, as much as I almost feel like Washington would maybe be a better matchup.
The reality is-
it's going to be tough regardless.
we're
but
playing a tough
Yeah.
team in the first round.
yeah, well, that's right.
That's
and
just
that's
the reality.
True. Yeah.
It's either going to be Washington, Tampa, or Boston.
Yeah.
It's one of those 3 teams.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
According to Dom's stats today, they have a 56% chance
They
of
do.
getting in the
He
playoffs.
had
right
Florida as a likely bet to make the playoffs. So the Leafs being like a wild card team.
Yeah.
now. Okay. Yeah.
Which, like, we're so going to end up in the spot that we still end up playing Boston.
But then
I
we're
know
going to
it.
playing Tampa, though. If Tampa wins,
I think Tampa overtakes Boston for first place. That's my prediction.
I don't want to play Tampa in the first round.
No.
I'd rather play Boston
Hey,
than
man,
Tampa.
if it's the Tampa, the playoffs last year, I'd play them in the first round.
They're hungry,
Oh,
though.
Yeah, it's
man.
definitely. I don't think it's
I'll
going to be the
take
same
it.
Tampa team.
I
though.
think,
take
though, it's
round
like
2 Boston,
just
if
getting
that's what it
to
gives
the
you.
playoffs, though, is the key now.
Yeah. You know,
I
it's
can't
a really
believe we're back
really
here.
mushy spot they've gotten themselves into, and we did the first 20 games didn't help,
Well, the injuries didn't help.
and the injuries, and every team has
It's
that.
like having to
but-
shuffle lines based on injuries every single game or mid-game like today is
Yeah.
like so frustrating.
Maybe let's do a quick round table. The third period's almost about to begin. Maybe we'll shut her down.
Yeah,
Do the Leafs make the playoffs? Yes or no?
I 100% for me. I think they're making it. Yeah.
So that's a yes?
Yeah, that's a yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're a wild card team.
I have the faith. I think this team will come back. I know, like, they know what they're doing. Also, my parents are coming to visit in May, so I'm like, this is the year. They're going to come to the Big O with me, and, like, we're going to watch these games together. It's going to be good.
I'm a yes.
You're a yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Positivity. Okay. I love it.
All right.
Nice little pop-up podcast.
This is a pop-up. And just actually mention, we got Brian Rowley here, brother of our December, our Christmas pod, Rick. So you didn't want to go on the mic before, so I assume you didn't really want to chime in now.
I'm just happy to be here.
So let's ask you, are the Leafs making the playoffs, Brian?
Yeah.
All right.
We all said yes,
there
you
was
better
a bit of a pause
yes.
there.
There was a pause.
You really had to stump you on that one.
All right. So, go Leafs, go on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go Leafs,
Go Leafs, go!
Go.